Hello everyone, how you doing today? Happy Monday. Glad to be back here. We were out at TwitchCon last week, so we weren't here for our live stream on YouTube, but hopefully you guys are all joining us back at our new time. So welcome, welcome. Let's see, who is with us today? We got a few people joining already. Let's see, we got Tina and A. I'm not sure what A's full name is, but welcome A, Ethan, Miss Cheryl's Place, Janica, Cutie Kittens, Caroline, Wallace. Awesome, you guys. It's good to see that you guys all are with us again today. I know we're changing up the time here a little bit, so I'm glad that you guys all got the notifications. We'll give everybody a little bit more chance to get the text message maybe and our YouTube notifications here. Hopefully everybody will know that we got a new time schedule that we're going to be working on here, so you guys can put this on your calendar and join us all the time. So welcome in everybody. All right, looks like we got a few more people joining us here. I'm just getting ready on my nails here, just getting a few nails clipped and ready to go here while we get people joining in. Hello everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And just a quick announcement, and I'll say this a couple more times as we go so that people don't miss out. We are adjusting our schedule here on YouTube, so we're going to be doing our live streams on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, so you guys can join us on those days. And we're going to be going right about this time. So this is 12:30 Pacific time. So you guys adjust your times accordingly wherever you are located. But this is the time frame that we're going to be doing our YouTube lives from now on. So make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, set your notifications so that you do get those text messages or messages however you get them, so that you will know when we do go live. Let's see. Charles is asking, what is the name of your energy board? I'm not sure what you're asking, energy board. I'm not sure what you're meaning by that. So if you can clarify, let us know, and we'll hopefully be able to answer your question. But you guys, today we're going to be doing, all right, so you guys, I have some nails that I did previously to our stream, but this is what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you some kind of some tips and tricks on how to do different shaping. So if you're somebody who wants to shape square nails, you can do squares. We're going to show you some almond shapes, some stilettos, and some coffins. Now I might not go through all of the filing and finishing on all of these different styles, but I do want to show you guys how to use your forms to get these different shapes, and then also how to file the perimeters for all of these different shapes. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's see, Callista's saying almond is my favorite. Well, we're going to be doing almond second, so stick with us here, you guys. Let me know, what is your favorite shape? And now that Callista said that, I would like to know what is your favorite shape when you're either wearing nails or doing nails? What shape do you guys like best? Let me know, because we're hopefully going to cover it today. So I'm going to start by prepping 4 of my nails here, go all the way through, and you guys, I'm going to prep these just like I would do for a full set. So notice that I went through, pushed back my cuticles on all 4 of these nails. And you guys, even when you're practicing, make sure that you're still practicing doing that pushing back and all of your same preps so that you kind of get into the routine of it. So you guys, lots of different preferences on your shapes here. So that's kind of exciting because we're going to be doing all kinds of different ones. Oh, emery board, Charles. Okay, so you guys, the files that I'm using today are the Young Nails, the 150 files, so you can grab those too. But you guys, everything that I'm using here today is Young Nails. It can all be found on our website, youngnails.com. Everything from my sanding bands to my table towels, all of this is Young Nails. So, all right, let's get into the rest of our prep. So I've got my medium sanding band on my electric file here. I'm going to turn my speed on my e-file to about 5,000 RPMs. Let me come in a little closer so you guys can see. I'm going to come right up around my cuticle area, clean up that cuticle area, get all of that kind of that white flaky protein growth cleaned up from that cuticle area, and then I'm just going to feather through the rest of that nail surface, making sure that I'm getting all of that shine removed, kind of creating just a slight texture on that nail. And you guys, what I'm really trying to do by removing shine, what that's really doing is basically breaking up the oils in the nail surface. So that way we can cleanse those and remove those oils, and then we'll have a nice, clean, dry, pH balanced surface for our product to adhere to. But if we don't go through and break up those oils, then it's not going to fully be removed when we cleanse the nail. So again, just working right up around that cuticle area, down and just kind of feathering all the way through that whole nail surface. And again, you guys, we're going to be doing shaping on 4 different nails here today, so that's why I am going through and prepping all 4 of these all the way through, so you guys will be able to see everything all the way through. Okay? All right, so I'm seeing a lot of coffin and a lot of square nails, which is actually kind of surprising to me, because in this day and age, the kind of the trendy thing that I see a lot of is that more of that almond shape, but I do think that long tapered square look is starting to get a little bit more popular too. So you guys, all of these different techniques that I'm showing you today, you can use them to customize your nails, your clients' nails, into all of these different shapes. So I just went through, dusted off as much of that dust as I could, because now we're going to come into our swipe, and we're going to cleanse the nail with our swipe. Let me readjust there. So swipe comes in this little pump bottle. I'm going to pump a little bit of that onto my manicure brush, and we're going to go through and we're going to use this to cleanse the nails. So this again is going to help to remove the rest of any little pieces of dust that are on there, any extra oils that we weren't able to break up, any germs it's going to take care of. It's going to kill any germs or bacteria that's on the nail, and then once it dries, it's going to leave a nice clean surface for our product to adhere to. Okay, so once you're done cleaning with the swipe, you want to make sure that the nails go back to the chalky look. So let me come in a little closer. So you're going to start to kind of see how it's starting to dry out again. Now on this last one down here, see how it still looks a little bit wet. We want to make sure to let it completely dry till it gets back to kind of that dry, kind of chalky look before we go on to our next step. And if you leave it wet like this when we do our next step, you're going to run into challenges, okay? So make sure that the nails look nice and completely dry like they are now. This one's still just a little bit. Okay, so now it has gotten to that dry look, okay? So the next thing that we're going to use is our protein bond. And protein bond is our bonder. And the reason that we want to make sure that the nail is dry with no more of that swipe on there is because swipe would kind of null and void the protein bond. So again, we want to make sure that we're applying this to a nice clean, dry surface. Now I'm going to start in the center of my nail, working out to the sides and then back towards my cuticle area. So this way I'm not flooding that product into the cuticle or into those sidewalls or anything like that. And protein bond is going to give this nail a tacky surface. So it kind of works like a double-sided tape where you apply it to the nail, it's going to stick down to that natural nail, but then it's going to leave that tacky surface for our product to grab onto. Okay, so making sure I get as close to my cuticle area as I can without touching that cuticle. And we've got our first coat on here, and anytime I'm working with acrylics or hard gels, I always want to go through and do two coats of our protein bond, so this way we've got really good even coverage over the whole nail, and we won't have any lifting issues for our clients. Okay, if you're working on just a regular gel manicure, 1 coat of protein bond works just fine, but with acrylics or hard gels, definitely 2 coats just for that added insurance, for that little bit more, little bit better bond, a little bit more durability. Okay, so we have our second coat on all 4 of our nails. Are we ready to sculpt? Let's see, Cutie Kitten, that's a big bottle. Yes, you guys, if you haven't seen yet, so we used to have just our 1/4 ounce bottle of the protein bond. We now have the Big Papa. We have the 1/2 ounce of our protein bond. So those of you that are in salon and you're working all day, every day, we now have that larger size for you. It's gonna be so amazing for you. So we have that. We still have the 1/4 ounce. We're not getting rid of that just yet, I don't think. But now we do have that larger size for those of you that are in salon and you're going through that a little bit faster. All right, let's find our forms here. And you guys, today I'm just going to be working with our regular blue forms. These are kind of our standard traditional forms. I'm getting down to the last few of them on my roll here, so they're kind of kind of creased a little bit or kind of tightened. So I'm just gonna make sure that I go through and just kind of flatten those out so that my forms have a nice, nice flat surface rather than curved like that, okay? So let's start with just one form here. So when you use your forms, what we're gonna do, you're gonna peel that off, peel the whole thing off that paper on the back. You're gonna take that little tab in the center, take that out, and you're gonna stick that right on the back of that form. So it can go with that blue shiny side up, or it can go with the sticky side up. Either way is fine, doesn't matter. But the reason that we put that on the back is to give our forms a little bit more kind of firmness, a little bit more structure to that form, so it's not so flimsy feeling. And then we're gonna take, you guys, there's two little silver tabs. So this tab here and this tab here, we're gonna pinch those two tabs together nice and even. Let me come in a little closer for you. We're going to pinch those tabs nice and even. Now, first nail we're going to start with is a square nail. So when I pinch my forms together, when I pinch these two little tabs together, I want to make sure I'm just pinching the tabs. So just those silver areas. So just right here is all I'm pinching together. I'm going to leave that end open. So that way I can actually create a nice straight square nail, and I can use these straight lines on our form as my guide. Okay, so again, pinch those two little tabs together, leave that open at the end. I'm going to open up, there's a little perforated top right up top here. We're going to open that up, and then we're going to come in to our nail. We're going to bring this form up underneath our nail. Let me open this up a little bit. So we're going to get that form up under the nail, kind of at a slight downward angle, and then once it's caught right up under that free edge, I'm just going to lift up on the end. Actually, let me get that right up underneath there a little bit better. There we go. Lift up on the end so that form is coming straight out, and then I can secure my form onto my sides. Now, I still have that end open, so still leave this end open when you're working on a square nail, okay? Now, I want to make sure that my form is nice and straight. I'm just going to kind of pinch that together a little bit more underneath, but still leaving that open. All right. Looks fairly straight, and you guys, again, I'm going to use that bold line down the center as kind of my main guide, and I'm going to use an orange wood stick here just really quick to kind of check. You guys, when I'm checking to make sure that my forms are straight, I want to kind of measure from the knuckle to the nail and then down through the form. So if I line up my orange wood stick coming straight down the middle of that from knuckle to knuckle through the end of the nail, this stick should come right down straight in line with that kind of bold line down the center. And right now it looks like it is pretty straight. Now, if you need to, you can adjust, so you can kind of loosen that up. You can open up on the sides, adjust, make that fit as perfect as you can so that form is coming straight out, and then just readjust. Just make sure that you haven't pinched that little opening together underneath again, okay? So again, making sure to leave that end open, okay? So now we've got our form on nice and straight. I do actually want to lift that up just a little bit because it was just slightly off underneath that nail. There we go. Okay. Still going to kind of press that down again so that I have that open on the end. I don't have any gaps underneath here. There's nothing, there's no space between that natural nail and my form. There's no gaps in between there. Everything is looking nice and straight. So now, when we're applying our acrylic, because we're going to be doing a square nail, we're going to be using these these lines right on our form to kind of line up our product, okay? So those are going to help to be our guide for our sidewalls and a guide for our length, okay? All right, let me grab some towels here. I've got a couple of extra little ones here, and you guys, these are just our regular table towels that I have cut into smaller fun-size pieces. I'm just going to call them fun-size pieces. And then today I'm going to be using my Cover Peach acrylic. You guys, you can use whatever colors you want to be using for this. If you're working along with me, definitely grab any of your cover colors or even your speed colors or core colors. Whatever works for you is going to be just fine. And I'm going to grab my brush. And the brush that I'm using today is Greg's Signature brush. This is a size 12. You can see right there, it's a size 12. And I'm gonna grab my Dappen dish. And you guys, while I'm grabbing everything here, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can always join us again. And it looks like I've got a little bit of monomer left over from the last time I was working, which was actually just a little bit before we started going live here, but I am still going to soak that up and start with fresh. So even though I was just using this on my last set of nails, I am always going to start with fresh monomer every time I do a new set. This is going to help you to keep your product consistent. It's going to help you to keep picking up really good solid pearls, and it's not going to feel gummy or thick or anything like that. So let me grab my monomer here. And you guys, I am using, again, our cover peach and our traditional monomer with the pink label. So this is our traditional monomer. This is not the extreme low odor today. So just make sure that you're not mixing and matching. And I'm just going to touch my brush to the top of the bottle. I'm going to pour straight down into my Dappen dish. And I'm going to fill that. It's not quite halfway full. Okay. I don't want to overfill my Dappen dish. I basically want to fill to the top of where my bristles come. So just about up to here is as much liquid as I need. Okay, so don't overfill your Dappen dish. All right, so let's talk about sculpting a square nail. So let's actually just talk about sculpting a free edge in general. So when you're working with your acrylic, let me get that situated so you guys can see. There we go. When you're working and sculpting your free edge, you want to make sure that you're bringing your acrylic to more of a clay-like consistency. And let me grab another form here. So what I mean by a clay-like consistency is you want to make sure that your product isn't running and it's not flowing where you don't want it to flow, okay? And what I mean by that is if I were to pick up a pearl, I'm going to tap the back of my brush, I'm going to pick up my pearl. If I take that pearl and I set that right down onto my form, do you see what's happening already? Like instantly that product is starting to run, it's starting to flow, it's starting to kind of move, and I'm going to really have to kind of chase that around. See how it's kind of sticking to my brush like that? I don't want my product to be flowing quite that much because it's going to be kind of messy and it's going to be kind of a hassle to try to get that into place. What I want to do instead is I want to bring this to more of a clay-like consistency. So what I mean by clay-like consistency is if I grab that same form, pinch that again. Now let me come back so you can see what I'm doing. If I take that same pearl, pick up the same thing, tap the back, press, bounce, bounce, bounce. I take that pearl and I drain that onto my towel. I give it about 3 seconds, lift up my brush, set that back down onto the form, give it a press down. Now you can see that it's going to just kind of start to soften, but it's not going to flow, okay? So big difference between this one and that first pearl I set. With this one, I can use the belly of my brush and I can actually press out that product and I can get it to the consistency or the thickness that I want, okay? Once I have it like that, again, do you see how much more control I have? It's not running, it's not flowing, it's not moving where I don't want it to. It's going where I want to put it. So again, using the middle part, kind of that fat belly part of my brush, I can use that to press it out from side to side. So now it's nice and even all the way through the center. Now, at this point, I'm going to wipe out my brush and it's going to bring my brush kind of a wedge shape. And I'm going to use this part of my brush, so the edge of my brush here, not the belly, not that big flat, what do you call it? The big belly, the belly of the brush. I'm going to use more of the edge. And now I'm going to use that edge to kind of press up on those sides, okay? So let me grab another form here. And you guys, I'm going to run out of forms on this roll, but that's okay. Don't worry. I have a whole nother roll here for you. So again, let's pinch that tabs together there. Let me come back out. And we're going to, again, press out the liquid, press into our powder, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to drain that powder 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. set that onto my form, press that down. Okay, again, I'm going to use the belly of the brush, press that out from side to side, and then wipe out my brush again, use the edge of my brush, press in, and just kind of coming straight in. So you can see that as I'm working, I'm keeping the edge of my brush straight in line with those lines on the form. So if I turn this on the edge, you guys can see I'm coming straight in with the edge of my brush. And then we get this bulky area right here. I'm going to go back to using the belly of my brush. I'm going to press that flat, and I'm going to start to press that up into the corner, so bringing that up into the corner up here. And you guys, it'll make a little bit more sense once I get this onto the nail, but I want to explain this first before I actually put it onto the nail, because once we're on the nail, it's going to go quickly. But again, pressing with the belly of the brush, getting that bulky product up into that corner, again using the edge of my brush on the side, pressing that bulk up into the corner, okay? Then we would come back across using the flat part of the brush, pressing that so that's nice and even all the way across here, and then same thing on the other side. Now this is setting up a little bit more, so I'm gonna go into the nail now. Okay, I know that's what you guys really want to see, but again, I wanted to make sure that you were seeing exactly what I was doing before I did it so that you could understand what I'm going to be doing. Okay, let's come here. And okay, I think that's going to be a better view there. Okay, so again, we're going to go into our liquid, press out the back, come into my powder, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to set that onto my towel. 1, 2, 3, 4. Set that onto my nail or onto the form, press that down. I'm going to wipe out my brush, use the belly of my brush, make sure everything is nice and even. And then I'm going to use the edge of my brush, tuck that in, press that bulky product up into the corner, wipe out my brush. Again, using the edge, push straight in, so that's coming straight out from the edge. Walk my brush all the way over to the left side so that it's nice and even. Press in on the edge, walk that bulk up into the corner. Press in on the edge, walk that bulk up into the corner. I'm going to wipe out my brush, clean out my brush, and again, use the edge of my brush to clean up that edge. Okay, I'm going to come all the way back across, again making sure that everything is the same thickness all the way across, pressing that so it's nice and even, using the edge of my brush to tuck in on those sides. And then if I need to, I can just kind of start to pull some of that product a little bit longer. If I want to bring the length a little bit farther down, again, straight in line with those lines that are on the form. Now at this point, if I want to clean up my free edge a little bit and I want to square it off, wipe out your brush, turn your brush on the edge, use that edge to kind of press in and clean up and make a little more square. Now, do you have to do that? No. You guys, this is the last part that I perfect. I always make sure that my sides are nice and straight, that my product is nice and even all over the whole surface, that my other edge is straight, everything is nice and smooth all the way through, and then I'll come back and I'll clean up that free edge. The reason that I wait for this to be the very last thing that I clean up is because this part is the easiest part for you to clean up with your electric file or even your hand file. So don't worry about trying to perfect that free edge shape just yet. Make sure that your sides are straight, make sure that everything is nice and even all the way through, and then you can turn your brush on the side and clean up that square shape if you need to, okay? So once we have that square shape, you guys can see, if we take a look from the sides, again, oops, my form slipped there. See how I'm using my brush to kind of push those edges in and keep that in line with those little those little lines that are on the form. Again, using that as your guideline, okay? So we've got our sides are nice and straight. Everything is coming out nice and straight. To build up the rest of the structure, and you guys, the rest of the structure is going to be the same for our square nail. We're going to do the same application for our almond. So I'm going to go through this. You'll see it a few times. So I'm going to go through this and do our application to build up the rest of the structure. And just like we were doing before, I'm going to go into my liquid, tap off the back. I'm going to press that into my powder. Oops, you guys can't see that. Okay. Tap the back, press into my powder, bounce, bounce, bounce. Now, I'm going to hold this for just a couple of seconds before I set it down. This one I'm not going to drain on my towel, okay? The reason for that is when we're working on building the structure. This one we actually do want to have it flow a little bit. So if I were to take and drain out that extra liquid, it's not going to flow, and I'm going to have to really work that to get it into shape. So again, you guys, we always try to let our product do a lot of the work for us rather than us having to do all the work ourselves. So you'll see what I mean by that in just a second here. So I'm going to tap my brush, press, press, press. I'm going to wait 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to set that pearl right at my cuticle, press it down, lift up. I'm going to angle my finger down, press out my cuticle area, pivot my brush to the side. I'm going to come back up to that cuticle area, and again, angle that finger downward. That way your product is going to start to flow down the length of the nail, and then you don't have to work it too much, okay? I'm going to lift up, I'm going to brush out the sides, and just kind of start to blend that product out. Notice on my side, I pivot my brush and blend that product forward, okay? So pivot my brush, so I'm kind of working at an angle here, and then I flatten my brush out to this angle, and then on the other side, pivot my brush and blend out here, okay? So again, just kind of blending out that edge. If it doesn't blend out perfect and there's a little line like this, it's not a big deal. We're going to add another pearl on. But at this point, you can start to see that we've got a nice thin cuticle area. We're coming up into a little bit of a higher area, and that's going to create our arch. Now we're just going to fill in a little bit more product right down here. So I'm going to pick up another pearl. I'm going to set it right about here. So right where that product needs to kind of blend together, that's where I'm going to set my product down, okay? Now with this pearl, I kind of want it in between that clay-like consistency that we used on our free edge and that wet flowing kind of consistency that we used up here. So for this one, I'm going to pick up my pearl and I'm going to drain it out a little bit, so just maybe a second or two, and then I'm going to go on to the nail. I'm not going to drain it out as much as I did with that free edge pearl, okay? So same thing, we're going to pick up our pearl. And again, you guys, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Show us some love in there. We appreciate that. So just tap that down, and now I'm going to turn my brush around. I'm going to set that pearl down. I'm going to blend that back. I'm going to turn my brush and kind of pivot that on the side again. Blend back, pivot on the other side, blend back. I'm going to wipe out my brush, and now I'm going to use kind of that belly of the brush to press, if I need to press to move that product. And then I can just brush straight down. So straight down that whole length of the nail to really blend that product down. Again, kind of pressing to make sure it's nice and even. If I feel like I need to, I can turn my brush around and blend backwards. What this is going to do is that's going to start to kind of taper that free edge a little bit more, and it's going to bring that product back up into that arch. Okay. Now, when you're working on square nails, you guys, when you're brushing your brush forward or backwards, we're going to be brushing straight, okay? And I want to point this out because once we get to our almond shape or our stilettos, you're going to be working at a little bit of a different angle. So when you're working square, you're going to be brushing straight, you're going to be pressing straight, and you're going to be using the edge of your brush straight into that square nail, okay? So keep that in mind when we get to our next nails, okay? But at this point, we've got our good structure in here. We've got our nice thin tapered cuticle area. We've got a nice little bit of an arch into there. And then we've got nice and thin and tapered down to our free edge, okay? Okay, Anna in Utah, why is your apex in the stress zone? You guys, your apex, the apex is your highest point. That does need to be right in your stress area. And the reason for that is because this is the area, so this high area right here, this is the area that's going to get kind of that impact. If I were to jam my nail, that pressure actually goes right through here. That's why it's called your stress area. So that's the area that you want to be a little bit thicker so that it is going to be able to absorb a little bit more of that impact, okay? Hopefully you're not getting too much impact, but we do want to build that a little thicker so it is a little bit stronger there, okay? Okay, so that's our first nail. That's our square shape. Now, let's talk about our almond shape. Let's do our almond next. You guys, I'm running out of forms here. Hang on a second. Let me grab another roll. All right. So our next nail we're going to do is an almond shape. We're going to do that same form. So we're going to take that same form just like we did on our first nail. we're going to take that little tab out of the center, put that on the back. Now, for our almond shape, we're going to still pinch those two little silver tabs. We're going to pinch those together nice and evenly, as even as we can get them. But for our almond shape, we can actually pinch that whole end together. So now instead of being open like our square nail was, that's going to be nice and tight and pinched and kind of bringing our form kind of to that pointy shape, okay? Now, if you're doing an almond shape and you're doing a little shorter nail, you can actually pinch that form a little bit more, okay? So it's not just pinched all the way to the end, but down a little bit farther to here. Okay, I'm still going to open up that tab on the top and just kind of press that down a little bit, and that one's starting to set up. So let's come into here. We're going to put our form on just like we did on our first one, kind of starting at a downward angle. Catch that nail underneath, lift up until it comes straight out from that natural nail, and secure it down on the sides. And we're going to just kind of pinch a little bit more underneath to really make sure that that form is getting a nice tight curve all the way underneath here, okay? So now you guys, you can see those silver lines. If we take a look at it. Now, remember on our square nail, we were using those silver lines as our little guideline here. Those silver lines were nice and straight in line with our lower arches here. When you're working on that almond shape, and also when we get into our stilettos and our coffin shapes, notice that if I were to follow those straight lines are now kind of at a different angle. So what we're going to be using for our guideline now is, if you can see, the light is reflecting right through here. So instead of using those silver lines on the actual form itself, we're going to be using that light reflection as our guide. So when we're working and we're putting our free edge on, we're going to be pressing still in the center just like we did with our square, but on our square we were coming straight in, okay? On our coffin shape, our almond shape, and our stiletto shape, instead of coming straight in on the edges here, we're going to actually angle our brush. So we're kind of connecting the corner here to the point of our form. So that is going to be the angle that we're working at. That's going to be the angle that we're pressing our brush in with our product. So again, instead of coming straight in here, we're going to adjust and we're going to angle straight in here. Okay, I hope that makes sense, you guys. Put a heart into the chat if this is making sense with our brush angles, and let me know. I want to make sure that you guys are understanding. And if you're understanding and if you're enjoying our lesson today, make sure to hit that subscribe button for us. All right, I'm seeing some hearts. That's a great thing. That means that you guys are learning. Awesome. I'm so excited. That makes me so happy. Okay, so on this one, because we're going to be doing a little bit of a shorter nail, we're not going to pick up quite so large of a pearl. So I'm going to tap my brush. I'm going to maybe tap that a second time, so that way I'm not going to pick up quite so large of a pearl. Okay, so just a little bit smaller, but same thing. We're going to drain that out on our towel, bring that to more of that clay-like consistency. All right, you guys, I'm going to redo this one because I want to make sure that you're seeing this. All right, there we go. So again, we're going to bring this to more of a clay-like consistency. Press, bounce, bounce. And I'm going to drain that extra liquid out. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to set that just like we did before, right in the center. Wipe out my brush. Use that fat part, the belly of the brush, to press that out so it's even from side to side. Now I'm going to use my brush at an angle, tuck in that product, still walking it up into that corner though. I'm going to, again, press in on that edge, walk up into the corner. Okay, I'm going to come all the way back across. Same thing, at an angle, bring that edge in, walk that bulk up into the corner. Clean out my brush here, press in on that edge, and then all the way back across. So by changing that angle of my brush, I can now bring in that nail to more of that almond shape. Okay, and notice that as I work, I keep kind of tucking in, and I'll kind of go back and forth from one side to the other, making sure that everything is nice and even all the way across. Now at this point, I'm going to start to kind of pull some of that product forward. So this way I can create a little bit more of that almond shape, kind of tucking a little bit more right at these two corners right up here to again get a little bit more of that almond shape, kind of rounding it out just a little bit. Just kind of tucking, even at this point, if you want to use the edge of your brush to kind of tuck and make that a little bit more rounded, you can do that as well, okay? But again, using my brush at an angle, okay? So I'm not coming straight out like I was for a square nail. I'm bringing that in at an angle to create that almond shape, okay? So again, you guys take a look from the side now. So see again how on this one, we were going straight in line with those lines on the form. On here, it's still coming straight out from that natural nail, but it's coming in at a little bit more of an angle into that almond shape, okay? All right, our overlay is going to be exactly the same as before. Go into our liquid, tap, press, press, press. I'm going to hold that for 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 seconds. We're going to set that down at the cuticle area, press the cuticle out from side to side, angle that finger straight down, get that product to flow and run and move for me so that I don't have to do that work. I'm going to wipe out my brush. I'm going to use that edge of my brush, blending those sides down, and then just lifting up and blending out that edge of my product. So now again, we've got that same arch, that same apex that we're starting to create. Okay. Same thing, we're going to pick up another pearl to lay down right here to kind of fill in. Now, you guys, when I'm working with this pearl, I'm going to set that down, blend it back, blend it back, blend it back. Then I'm going to turn my brush around and I'm going to press here. But when I blend this one forward, I can blend straight down in the middle, but on my sides, instead of blending straight down like I did with my square nail, again, I want to angle my brush so that I'm blending from the kind of from this corner to this point, and then this corner to this point. So again, we're blending from corner to point, corner to point. Okay, let me get our pearl on there and you'll see what I mean. So again, let's tap that, pick up our pearl. This one, again, I'm just going to drain out just a little bit of that liquid. I'm going to turn my brush around, set that down, blend backwards, blend backwards, blend back. Same thing, blend back. I'm going to come from that forward, press that out. Now I'm going to blend from corner to free edge, corner to free edge. Again, I can still use the edge of my brush to kind of tuck that in, blending from corner to free edge. Okay, pressing all the way across, again making sure my product is even. And again, corner to free edge, corner to free edge. Okay. Somebody's asking, what color is this acrylic? This is the Cover Peach from Young Nails. And then again, I'm just going to kind of blend that backwards to kind of thin and taper out that free edge. Okay? All right. So there is our second shape. Next one we're going to do is our, should we do a stiletto? Yeah, we'll do a stiletto next, I think. So the stiletto is basically the same exact thing as our almond shape. It's just not shortened. Okay, so on this one, we are going to do the same thing, put our little tab on the back. Let's see, somebody asking if I'm licensed. Yes, I am a licensed nail tech. You guys, I've been licensed. I've been doing nails for a long time, since '99. So I have been doing this for a while. So same thing again, you guys, pinch those two tabs together, pinch that end together so that we've got that nice tight V shape here on our form. Open up that perforation up top. We're going to get this right up underneath that nail again, lift up on the end, and then we're going to secure everything. So again, on our almond shape, we pinch that one a little bit shorter. On our stiletto, we're going to leave this nice and long, okay? So we're going to leave that all the way out to the end, and we're going to create a nice long nail here. Now you guys, as my nails are setting here, this one is about at the point of I can mold it a little bit more. So I can use my fingers to kind of come in, press in a little bit more on those sides, and this way it will create a little bit more of a tighter C curve, okay? So that's going to help you when you are working on your coffin shaped nails, your stilettos, your almond shapes, even on your square nails, you can still come in and pinch that. I didn't do that on our original one, and this is definitely set up so I don't have time to do that at this point. But on this one and the rest of them, I will definitely try to get in that nice tight pinch, because that is how we're going to get that really good structure to our nails, okay? So again, just like we did on our almond shape, we're going to do the same exact things. We're basically just going to bring that product a little bit longer down onto our form. So we're going to need just a little bit more product this time. So I'm going to pick up just a little bit of a larger pearl than that last one. Same thing, I'm going to drain out that extra liquid, set that right down to that edge there, wipe out my brush. I'm going to press that out so it's even from side to side. Same thing, use the edge of my brush at an angle, tuck up into that corner, press in, and then we're going to come all the way across. Same thing, angle my brush, press that in, walk that product, walk that bulk up into that corner. Now I'm going to start to just kind of pull that product, pull that bulk down the form a little bit. Keep using the edge of my brush to create that edge on the sides. Same thing over here, at an angle, press that bulk in and blending that bulk forward. So I'm kind of pressing and pulling at the same time, okay? Press in on my sides, walk that bulk down, press in on the side, walk that bulk down, all the way to the end of my form, getting that nice and tapered all the way to that free edge. I'm going to come all the way across here and clean out my brush. I'm going to really use kind of the base of my brush now, so this area of my brush right here, really kind of pressing that in to get that nice tight point shape on my free edge, okay? And I'm also going to kind of press all the way across. Do you guys see how I'm pivoting my brush all the way across? This is going to really help get that nice tight, you guys, you know one of my favorite words is contour, but getting that contour, getting that rounded shape to our nail, that's what's going to really help down there, okay? Yep, so sharp. Yes, this is going to be a sharp nail, you guys. A true stiletto is that really sharp, tight point, okay? And that is exactly what we want, okay? So again, our lower arches are still coming out nice and straight from that natural nail, but again, we're not following those straight lines on the edge of our forms, okay? You're still using kind of that light reflection like I showed you on our almond shape, okay? All right, you guys, let's do our overlay on this. And again, notice that every time I'm doing my overlay, it's the same exact thing. On this one, because we've got a longer nail, I am going to pick up a little bit more product so that we can cap that whole nail, but it's still that same thing. Hold that pearl for a few seconds, set it down at the cuticle area, press out my cuticle area, angle that finger straight down so that my product starts running down the length of the nail. I'm going to pivot my brush on the side, wipe my sides. I'm going to lift up, same thing, pivot on the side and blend out that edge, blend out that product. Now with our longer nails, with our stilettos and our coffins, we do want to make sure that we're leaving a little bit more product right in that stress area. So this way we can really have good structure. We can have a nice amount of thickness here so that it's going to help to support and balance the rest of that free edge. Okay? Same thing like we were doing before. We're going to pick up our pearl. This one I'm going to just tap to drain out just a little bit. I'm going to turn my brush around, set that down right into that low area, blend that back all the way up and through. Turn my brush straight again. I can press from the center, pull forward, angle my brush, and pull from corner to point. Okay? Same thing, blending from corner to point. I'm going to tuck in on my edge over here, press that back up onto the nail, and blend from corner to point. Corner to point. So that way it's going to keep my product from squishing off to the sides. Okay, tucking that in, all the way up through. And then again, I can turn my brush around, blend that backwards to really keep my product nice and tapered at that free edge, keep it nice and thin, and bringing the bulk more up into that stress area. I'm going to blend out just a little bit more right down through my free edge to really make sure that I have enough product right at that point, and I think we are good there. Okay, now you guys, the only difference between this nail and our coffin shape one that we're going to do Everything else is identical to this, except we're just going to flatten out and straighten out that free edge, okay? So that's the only difference. We're still going to put our form on the same exact way. So I'm still going to grab, oops, there we go. So I'm still going to grab my form. I'm going to grab that little tab from the center, put that on the back. I'm going to pinch my two little silver tabs together nice and even. I'm going to pinch the end of that form all the way together, just right at that end. Okay, same thing, pop open the top, and then we're going to get this form up underneath our nail. Straight out, that bold line is going to come straight out the center of our nail. We're going to lift up, secure that down, and pinch in on the side so that we've got that nice tight pinch, that nice tight point. Okay. Again, you guys, notice where your light is reflecting. Your light is reflecting right through here. This is going to be our guide. That's what we're going to be doing to create our nail. We're going to be going from that corner. We're going to bring our product from corner to the point. Okay? All right. Ready to go here? Again, same thing. Just like before. And you guys, if you're new to our channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button as you're watching here so you get all that great information. Again, we're going to pick up our pearl. I'm going to drain out that extra liquid. 1, 2, 3, 4. Set that right at our free edge. Press down, wipe out my brush. Press from the center to get everything nice and even thickness across. Use the edge of my brush, come in at an angle. Press that bulky product up into the corner. Same thing, use the edge of my brush in at an angle, press that product into the corner. All the way back across, making sure everything is nice and even. Bring up that bulk with the edge of my brush, tucking that up into the corner. Then we're going to just blend that product down the length of the form, using the edge of my brush to bring those edges in. Again, blending that down to the end of the form, tucking in on the sides, bringing that down. Okay, same thing all the way through. I'm going to blend that out just a little bit more. Tuck in on those edges, and you guys see how it's already coming to that coffin shape. I'm just going to keep kind of tucking in on those sides to get everything nice and thin and tapered. Nice and thin and tapered. And again, you guys, contouring with my brush all the way up and over. And let's pull that down just a little bit more to the end. Tucking in on my edges, tucking in on my edges. And just like we did on our square nail, the last thing that we can do, or that we need to do, is turn our brush on the side, and you can straighten out that coffin shape. Again, you guys, don't worry about that end, because that can be shortened up. It can be shaped with our e-file or our hand file, and you don't have to worry about that. But if you do have the time and you want to perfect that with your brush, you can definitely do that. But now we've got our coffin shape. We're going to go back to that overlay just like we did before. We're going to press our brush down into our powder. We're going to wait 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to set that at our cuticle area. Press around that cuticle area, angle that finger straight down, let that product flow, let it move for us. Tuck in those sides, let it flow. Lift up and pivot my brush on the edge. Brush out those edges and then blend in that edge. Okay, and you guys, as I work, if I ever feel like I have product sticking to my brush, wipe out your brush. Okay, get rid of that extra product. You don't need that on there. If it's sticking to your brush, it's just going to attract more and more product. So get that product out of your brush. Okay, all right, we're going to pick up one more pearl. Same thing. Drain out just a little of that liquid. Turn my brush around, press that down in the low spot, blend back, pivot my brush and blend back, wipe out my brush, pivot the brush, blend back. I'm going to turn my brush straight on, press, contour that nice tight narrow nail, and as I'm pressing, I'm kind of again pressing and pulling that product down the length of the nail, keeping my bulk even all the way through. And you guys, again, from corner to free edge, if you're blending, you're going to go from corner to free edge. So blend corner to free edge, corner to free edge. Then again, if you need to, you can blend backwards from corner to free edge, all the way back. Okay, so again, that's going to taper in that free edge a little bit more, keep that free edge nice and thin and tapered. Okay, and blend back. All right, you guys, so that is how we're going to sculpt all 4 of these different shapes here. So we've got, again, our square, our almond, our stiletto, and our coffin shape. Now let me see this one. So this one is just, it's almost at that cured point where I can't pinch that even more. But let me wait and see on this one. I'm going to try to get a little bit more of a pinch as this one sets, okay? So I am going to clean up my powders here. You guys, I always make sure that I clean out my brush. So notice that I just leave it sitting in there for a couple of seconds. So it kind of will release any little bits of acrylic that are left in there. And then I will clean that out, wipe it out on both sides of my towel, go back into my liquid, wipe out again, and then roll that back to a point. So that way it's going to clean out any last little bits of acrylic that were in the brush, and it's going to be nice and clean and ready to go for me for next time. Okay? All right, so we're not done yet, you guys. Don't leave me just yet. Stick with me. There's more information. So as this one is setting, I can come back in and again using my fingers here to kind of press in on those sides. That's going to help to really keep that nice tight pinch in there and keep that nice tight C curve to my free edge. Okay. Now, where do we go from here? You guys, this is where I think if you even had the most perfect extension sculpted, this is where some people can kind of adjust their shapes where you don't want them. Okay, so I'm going to take my forms off here. I'm going to pinch those together underneath, pull those down. Now, when we're doing our filing, basically the only difference in filing any of these shapes is going to be our perimeter. So what I mean by perimeter is our sidewalls, our free edge, and our lower arches. Okay, everything is going to be filed exactly the same over the surface. It's just going to be filed differently at our sidewalls, free edge, and lower arch. Okay, so let me start with that. Let me get my dust collector opened up here. All right, let me come in here. Okay, so when we are, you guys, normally if you've been watching my live demos here, normally you see that I go right in with my hand or with my electric file. Okay, today I'm actually going to go in with my hand file first instead to just kind of give you a little bit more of an idea of the perimeter. And I'm going to be using my 150 grit hand file, and I'm going to grab my prep file. You guys always make sure that you take off the sharp edges from your files, and that way you're not going to be cutting your clients or anything like that. So make sure that you go over those with I call it my prep file. It's just another file that I use just for prepping the edges of my files. Okay, so just coming across there, making sure everything is nice and smooth. Miss LaBosse, today we are working on shaping and things like that. So probably no glitter today, but join us next time for sure, and we'll be doing some glitter. So, but we'll see. If I have a little extra time at the end, maybe we'll throw some glitter on here. Okay. All right. So for perimeter, what I mean by perimeter, like I was saying, you guys, is our sides, our free edge, and our lower arches. Okay. When you're working on your perimeter for your square nail, you're going to be keeping your file straight in line with the whole finger. Do you guys see how my file is straight in line with the finger? I'm not angling it here. I'm not angling it here. I'm keeping that completely straight in line with that finger, okay? And all I see of my file when I'm filing my sidewalls is that blue line down the center. If I start to see that gray, that means that I'm cutting into my corners, okay? So make sure when you're doing your perimeter for your square nail, you're keeping it straight in line with that finger all the way through that sidewall. Same thing on the other side, straight in line with the finger. Let me see if I can turn that there. So again, straight in line with the finger. Okay, now something that I want you guys to notice is as I'm filing, I file with the file on one side and I balance with a finger or thumb on the other. that is how you're going to get a nice straight edge. If I didn't have that there, a lot of times what happens is that finger is, or that nail is going to kind of wobble back and forth. Okay, so you want to make sure you're keeping that nice and straight. You're keeping even pressure on both sides so that it's going to be nice and balanced. Okay, and Ethan, we're not doing a duck nail today. Hopefully you weren't looking for a duck nail today, because we're doing more square and other shapes here. But all right, so same thing on the other side. Straight in line, straight out from that finger, balancing on my other side. Now you guys, if you want to do a little bit more of a tapered square, you can just slightly angle your file, just slightly. So see, at this point, it's not straight out from that finger, just slightly, so that you're going to be taking a little bit more product right through here, okay? But for a straight square nail, again, you're going to be completely straight in line with the finger, okay? Same thing on the other side, straight in line. Now you guys, something that I see people do a lot of is whipping their file. So what I mean by whipping their file is you'll file, and I want you guys to watch and listen to this, okay? So I'm gonna close my mouth for a second here. Do you hear that at the very end where I kind of just pull the file off the end? That is what I call whipping. And what you want to make sure that you're not doing that, because that last little whip can tend to either round out that curve or that corner, or it can take just a little bit more product off here, and you're not going to get that perfect straight edge, okay? So make sure that when you're filing, you file and you stop. File, stop, okay? Don't whip that last little bit off the end, okay? Same thing on the other side, file, stop, okay? Now, that's our sidewalls. Our free edge, we're gonna keep, for a square nail, you're gonna keep that file perpendicular to your free edge. So notice how, again, I'm holding on the two fingers up here. That's, again, gonna keep my nail from wobbling back and forth, okay? Straight across, keeping that file perpendicular to get that straight square, keeping that file, let me turn this on the side. This is the angle that you're filing for that complete square nail, okay? If you want more of a squoval or kind of a softer square, you can start to angle your file down a little bit. The more you angle your file, the more that that's going to take off. Let me come a little closer. The more that that's going to take off those little corners underneath and kind of soften those out. So just kind of depending on how far you want that square. If you want that completely square, bring your file completely perpendicular. If you want more of a squoval or a soft square, you can come underneath and kind of catch those little corners, okay? All right, so again, 1, 2, 3 is the start of our perimeter. Then we're going to go to our lower arch. Now our lower arch, we want to make sure that is coming straight out from that natural nail. And whether this is a square nail, a coffin, a stiletto, it's always still going to come straight out from that natural nail, okay? So we want to make sure that we are putting pressure right at the free edge and bringing that free edge up until it comes straight out all the way through here, okay? So again, we're just going to come straight in there, keeping that file straight in line with the finger. All I see is that blue line of my file until it comes nice and straight out from that edge, okay? Same thing on the other side. Okay, do you guys see? We take a look at this. Look at that from the edge. Do you see how much product is actually hanging down? Let me give you a little bit of a little bit better idea here. So if I take my marker and I do a little dotted line, oh, you guys, I'm shaky here, all the way out, see how that's now coming straight out, hang on one second, straight out from where that natural nail grows, okay? Everything that's lower than that dotted line, so everything that's lower than here needs to get filed off so that it's coming straight out. So all of that product hanging down. And the tendency, again, is to come from here, but we want to make sure that we're coming from here and filing that all the way up until it's even there, okay? Now, for me, it's easier to turn the client's hand on the side so that I can see exactly where I'm filing from this view, okay? So again, starting at that free edge and working upwards. Okay, so now we're right up to that dotted line, and now my product is coming straight out from that free edge. Okay? Okay, so you guys, that is our perimeter. After that, we're going to do all of the filing over the surface, but I want to go through and show you the perimeter on all of these other nails first, because that way everything else is going to be the same. The perimeter is what's going to be different. Okay, so when you're working on your almond shape, you're going to start with your file like we did on our square, okay, straight in line to kind of clean up this area back here. So from basically from cuticle to the free edge right here, you're going to come in straight. Now, when we get to that free edge, then you're going to angle at a slight V shape. Okay, so let me come back out here. So straight here into a V, straight here into a V. Okay, and you can kind of do this in the same motion. So I start up here, come into a V. Okay, I'm still balancing on the other side, but I'm just bringing that file more at an angle. Same thing on the other side, straight into a V, straight into a V. Okay. Now, do I perfect my free edge at this point? No, I do tend to do that from my client's perspective, but this is again going to give me my perimeter. Okay, so cleaning up that V shape. And you can round that free edge out as much as you want, or bring it to a little bit more of a point if you want, okay? Same thing on the edges. Turn that on the side. Your lower arch is still going to come straight out from that natural nail. Okay, same thing on the other side. Turn on the side. Now, again, all of this product that's hanging low, that is what needs to come off. So again, keeping that file straight out from that natural nail. Okay. All right, so again, straight out from that natural nail. Now we've got that almond shape. Okay. With our stiletto, same thing as our almond shape, we're just creating a longer extension. Okay, so straight out and then into a little bit more of a V, into a little tighter of a V. Okay, same thing on the other side. And you guys, the longer the nail gets, the more important it is to balance on those sides, okay? Because we don't want that nail wobbling back and forth. Okay, so V, V, creating that stiletto shape all the way through. Keeping that file straight, bringing that all the way out to that nice tight point, okay? Same thing on those lower arches, keeping that file coming straight out, making sure that that product is straight out from that natural nail. Okay. Same thing on the other side. And again, you guys, I balance on the top of this nail so that it's not putting extra pressure on that nail bed. Okay. All right, you guys, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, give us all the love. We appreciate that so much. And we've got one more nail to straighten out, which is our coffin shape. So again, you guys, coffin shape is going to be the same exact thing as our stiletto. It's just going to be squared off at the end. Okay, so same thing on the sides. Into more of that V shape. Okay, straight and then into that V shape. We're going to straighten out that free edge, so support on both sides so it doesn't wobble back and forth. Straighten out that edge. Catch our lower arches, just like we did on the rest of them. Okay, all the way straight out. Turn that on this other side. Catch that other lower arch coming all the way straight out. All right. Whoops. So you guys, now you can see we've got that perimeter done. Okay, we've got our basic shaping in there. We've got our square, we've got our almond, we've got our stiletto, and we've got our coffin. You guys, I am going to finish our square nail just so you can see really quickly how to get the rest of that structure into shape. But I really more wanted to show you guys how to sculpt and how to file in your shaping on the on the different shapes here, okay? So let's go ahead and finish this one up. I suppose I should have turned on my dust collector a while back, but I forgot to do that. So we're gonna come right up around our cuticle area, thin and taper our cuticle area. Come in a little bit closer for you. And again, you guys, this is gonna be the same exact procedure whether you're working now on a square nail, an almond, a stiletto, or a coffin. I'm going to be looking from the side view, tapering down that bulk. I'm going to look down from the barrel of my nail. I'm going to pull my bit forward to help make that contour. Take down the bulk from the sides, bringing all the way through the rest of that nail, making sure that everything is even thickness all the way through that nail. And I'm just going to turn this on the side one more time just to make sure everything is nice and even all the way through, okay? I'm at 15,000 RPM. Somebody was asking in the chat there. All right, you guys, I'll do a second one for you just really quick. And that way, again, you can see that same procedure. So right around the cuticle, up through that apex, down to the free edge, making sure everything is at a nice smooth arch. We're gonna look straight down the barrel of the nail, take down the bulk from the sides. Again, looking down the barrel of that nail so that you can see how much thickness is on either of those sides and that everything is going to be even through that whole nail surface. All right, I think that one is good. All right, you guys, this one, I like this one better than the square. I tend to do more almond shape rather than square, so I'm going to finish this one up for you. So this one, I'm going to just come through and really clean up, really perfect my perimeter one last time, make sure everything looks right. Check that lower arch. And you guys, because we've already done our perimeter, you're not going to have a whole lot of work to do at this point, but it's just to kind of perfect. Now, I'm going to work up around my cuticle area, back down my sidewalls, again, contouring, making sure everything has a nice curve to it. Up around into that arch. Same thing on my other side, down and around. So on this side, you guys, you can see exactly where I filed all the way through that edge. Now I'm going to come back to this side and do that same thing, all the way kind of up and around that edge, rounding out those edges, contouring everything. And then you'll see right through that center area, I haven't hit that with my file yet, so that's where I kind of turn that nail on the side and I file backwards. I'll just kind of put pressure right at that free edge, pull my file back, and that way it's going to really taper that free edge and it's going to bring my arch right where I want it and get everything nice and perfect shape and structure, okay? One last thing I always do when I'm finishing my filing is I will turn that client's nail around so that I can see the shape that she's seeing. And I can shape everything perfect from that view. So I'm going to round out that almond shape just a little bit at that free edge. And then I'm just going to flow all the way through the rest of that surface. Make sure everything is nice and smooth and even. Okay, you guys, one last chance for you to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, give us all the love in the chat. You guys, we appreciate it. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something on how to shape all of the different shapes, different lengths, and all of that great stuff. And you guys, if you missed our announcement earlier, we have changed our time. Obviously, we changed our time here. You probably noticed that. But we changed our time and our days for YouTube Live. So we're going to be going on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 12:30 Pacific time going forward. So you guys make sure to subscribe, make sure you set those notifications so that you always know when we are going live and you'll be able to join us that time. All right, you guys, so those are all 4 of our different shapes. I'm not going to top coat these. All right, do I need to top coat one? Should I top coat one? if you want the top coat, let me know, top coat chant, do the chant in the chat. Otherwise, I'll just show you guys our 4 final shapes. And again, you guys, I didn't go through and finish everything, but I did finish this one. All right, you guys, you want to see the top coat? Okay, I'll show you the top coat here. I'm just touch that right up there. So to top coat, all I'm going to do, dust off that nail, use a little bit more of that swipe to cleanse, get all of that dust off, all of those contaminants off there. Make sure that your swipe is completely dry, and then we'll add a coat of our protein bond, and then we will finish the nail with our ultimate finish. So looks like our nail's nice and dry. I will go ahead and apply 1 coat of our protein bond. This way it's going to really help to give great adhesion for our top coat, and it's just going to give a really nice finish for our top coat here. And 1 coat of our ultimate finish. I'm sorry, you guys. I know we always got to end with the top coat chant. I know. I was slacking on that one. So you guys win. You get the top coat. So just again, 1 coat of our ultimate finish. You can finish your nails with whatever top coat you choose, whether you like the stain resistant or the manicure top coat. Any of those work great. Let me just pop that back into the light just for a few seconds to kind of set it into place. And again, you guys, if you didn't hear the announcement, we did change our timing for YouTube Live. We're going to be doing Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 12:30 Pacific time. So make sure, set your notifications, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you can get all of this great information. Let me come back out here a little bit. So we've got 1 finished nail, and then you've got your other 3 started shapes started on those. So you guys, again, we got our square, our almond shape, our stiletto, and our coffin. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's lesson, and we will see you back on Wednesday. I had to stop and think for a second. So you guys, again, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.